You're watching Taste the Victory.
Well guys, we got a weird one here today. Reaper is not exactly a normal deck, and that is because it's trying to represent what it is in the anime, not exactly a Digimon, more like a man-made virus gone absolutely crazy, doing its only programming to delete. It's basically like a recycle bin gone rogue. I've done a video, if you want to click in the top right, on the flavor of this deck and how it's represented in the TCG, and in terms of representing the flavor of the anime, oh my goodness, this is an incredible deck and I love it. But let's see how it works in terms of actual playability in the game. First up, we see this absolute long boy over here, and that is Searcher. It has the ability to run up to 50 copies of itself in the deck, which is why we are running 18. So Reaper is basically more or less an exaggerated combo deck. You want to see as many searchers as you can to play them out and put them underneath with a Reaper, and then you want to see like Jeri to be able to search for more of them and put more underneath, or Bubbles to do a similar thing. Your payoffs are Gatekeeper and Reaper. Reaper basically lets you OTK for game, and Gatekeeper makes it incredibly hard for your opponent to swing if they are not ready with removal. It helps stall out the game until you are ready to actually go for lethal. So yeah, Reaper is basically putting your opponent on a clock. The yellow half of this deck is basically to buy time, to have extra removal in case your opponent wants to be more aggressive. But more or less, you're kind of just racing against the clock to combo into all of your searchers and the effects to add them into the Reaper to get an OTK and win. Now, you may think the number is arbitrary, but we have to look at Reaper here. When you would play this Digimon, you may trash 7 or more Digivolution cards on the bottom of one of your Mother D Reapers to reduce the play cost to 0. And then we also have Gatekeeper over here, where it has the opponent's turn effect. When your Mother D Reaper has 6 Digivolution sources or more, all of your opponent's Digimon gets security attack -1. So 6 goes into 18 3 times evenly. So we want to have a number easily divisible by all these effects, although 7 makes it kind of odd, but we only need to do that once. But we want to have a nice easily divisible number where if it comes down to it, if we get source stripped, etc., we have a good amount of opportunities to go into the sources of Mother D Reaper and build up again. Reaper, it's fine that it's an odd number at 7 because you only have to do it one time really, but being able to get the Gatekeepers off multiple times in case we need to is good. But let's start with Mother D Reaper. We do have the whole deck laid out here on screen because this deck is bizarre and we kind of need that to be able to go through it. We have all turns. This Digimon can't attack and can't be affected by your opponent's effects. So like nothing even targets it. You can't give it Holy Flame to -2 for game. If you are targeting it directly, you can't Gaia Force it. One of the only really good ways to remove this is you have a Royal Knight Digimon and Judgment of the Blade to swing into it. Then you have main once per turn. If you don't have another Mother D Reaper in play, place one searcher in play or one of your searchers in your hand at the bottom of the Digimon's Digivolution cards. And then your turn, once per turn, when your Digimon with D Reaper and its traits will be played from hand, you can reduce the play cost of that Digimon by 1 for each Digivolution card this Digimon has. So that's why we want to stock up on so many searchers. That's really the only way to get sources underneath this thing in archetype. So that's going to be important to make sure we always have targets, always draw into them, and we're able to keep putting more if they get removed somehow. We also have the effect, when playing this card from your hand, if you don't have another searcher in play, reduce this card's play cost by 2. So that makes it effectively free for 1, which is amazing. And then your turn, this Digimon can't attack players, but it has on play draw 1. So it's basically a free draw 1 to cycle through your deck, because we need to keep drawing in case we brick on nothing but searchers, which is eventually going to happen, but it's okay because we just put it underneath and keep drawing more. And then it has the inheritable, which is really important. Your turn, all of your Digimon with D Reaper and their trades get plus 1000 DP. So if you get like even 5 or 4 underneath Mother D Reaper, that's still like a plus 5000, plus 4000 boost, which is really huge, especially when paired with the rest of our D Reapers that are actually able to swing or have effects based on their DP. If we move on to Pendulum feat, this has on play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card with D Reaper in its traits, and 1 searcher among them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So with the D Reaper and traits, we are basically going to hit this every time. There's very few cases where we will reveal all of our yellow cards, and if nothing else, we at least get a searcher, more or less every time. Then we have Bubbles. Bubbles is fantastic because it has a security effect, so having 4 is nice to make sure we hit it in our security. You may put one of your searcher or 1 searcher from your hand at the bottom Digivolution card of one of your Mother D Reapers, so more fuel to add up to our sources that we want to get 6 to 7 of for Mother D Reaper. And then you have on play, you may put one of your searcher or 1 searcher from your hand to the bottom Digivolution cards of your Mother D Reaper. So this is basically purely a card to fuel the sources and always get more underneath Mother. It's fantastic and you want to be able to see it so you can get multiple searches underneath it per turn, because you play 1 for 1, use its own effect to get sucked into Mother D Reaper, and then you play a Bubbles to pass turn, you suddenly got 2 underneath and fueling up your Mother D Reaper really quickly. After Bubbles, we have Jeri. Main, by suspending this Digimon, reveal 5 cards from the top of your deck, Place one searcher among them to the bottom of one of your Mother D Reaper's Digivolution source, and then put them remaining at the bottom of the deck. So basically, Jeri is amazing because you could, if it lives by suspending itself, you could basically have a guaranteed searcher every turn until this thing gets removed. Revealing the top 5 is a very deep dig, and with 18 searches, we are very likely to hit it, but there is of course always going to be the scenarios where you don't. Then we have Palates heads. So Palates heads is this deck's in archetype removal. Main, when you have Mother D Reaper, by suspending this Digimon, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a DP equal to or less than this Digimon's DP. So it is 6 to play, only 3000 DP. Main, when you have Mother D Reaper in play, by suspending this Digimon, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a DP equal to or less than this Digimon's DP. So yes, it is only 3000 DP, which is very low. So typically, naturally, it would only hit some couple of rookies, which is kind of lame. But remember, we do have Searcher's Inheritable Effect, which increases all your D Reaper play plus 1000. So if you get multiple, like 6 underneath, this suddenly goes up to 9000, and this is removing up to some really good ultimates and stuff like that. Since Mother D Reaper is not ever in any danger typically of being deleted, you can always just have it out, and then if your opponent tries to push out early, you can just delete them at any level. You know, if you have, let's say, 2 searchers underneath Mother, you're now at 5000, you're deleting most champions. However, we're only running it at 2 because we have plenty of other removal through our yellow package, which you can see here. You could definitely go up to this to more, just to make sure you have more removal, more D Reaper targets off your search effects, but I think 2 is a good balance. Going back to Gatekeeper, we have its security effect, play this card without battle and without paying its cost. So if this is revealed, it's not going to delete the Digimon that checked it, but you are playing it for free. And then it has an amazing on-play effect. When you have a Mother D Reaper, recovery +1, so that helps you stay into the game even longer, which is already annoying. But then it also has opponent's turn. When your Mother D Reaper has 6 Digivolution cards or more, all of your opponent's Digimon gets security attack -1. This effect is so annoying. If your deck isn't prepared for it, oh my goodness, this might like steal the game right there. Like if you are not drawing into your removal, it's incredibly annoying. You have to tech removal for this thing in any deck that you are playing if you expect D Reaper to be popular at your local environment. So yeah, this card is amazing. You need to run it at 4 so it shows up in security, and also just because it's a game winner sometimes. And then lastly, we have Reaper for the D Reaper package. You may trash 7 or more Digivolution cards from the bottom of one of your Mothers to reduce the cost to 0, even though it's normally 20. It has Rush, so it can attack the turn it comes out. And then when attacking, you may place 2 searches from your trash under this Digimon in any order as this Digivolution card to suspend this Digimon. So you're typically going to have more searchers than just that, but if you have just a 7 itself, you're getting 4 swings off of the resuspends, including the initial one. So that is really good alone right there, meaning from 3 you could potentially OTK if nothing bad is in your security. So this thing, you basically waiting to the late games, they are low on security until you are sure that you're safe, and then you just go into it, use this effect, unsuspend, 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 and attack for game. So once Reaper comes out, it's like a deflating feeling for your opponents. It is so annoying. This card is amazing. You always want to save this until you are sure you're in range to OTK, or your opponent's board isn't too dangerous where something interrupts you in security, you feel fine. It's a great card, game winner for this deck. That completes the D Reaper package, and after that we move on to the yellow cards in the deck. Basically, the idea behind the yellow cards is more removal and more recovery. You are able to cycle Gatekeeper back into security. It is unbelievably infuriating. If you get multiple in there, it stacks. If you get multiple in there, security attack -2 to any of your opponent's Digimon, it's just such a hopeless feeling. It feels evil. That's why we have the yellow package. We have Tactical Retreat here, which is only 1 to place one of your Digimon back into security face down. So you typically are just going to put Gatekeeper back in there. If you want to maybe get more searches underneath too, like you're desperate, you can put Bubbles back in there as well. But Gatekeeper is usually going to be your target. And it's a heritable effect, or rather its security effect triggers recovery +1, so that helps you stay into the game even longer if it gets stuck in your security. It's a fantastic card that synergizes really well with this deck. After that, we have a removal Spiral Masquerade. For each Digimon you have in play, activate the effect below. One of your opponent's Digimon gets -3000 DP for the turn. For 4, this card is just unbelievable. Its security effect adds it to your hand, so you're always going to see it no matter what. And then -3000 scales so fast for only 4. Mother D Reaper alone can counter a guaranteed 3000 at all times because it's almost never going to get removed. Then maybe you have a Searcher and you play this before you use the sucking effect to go into Mother. You have a Jeri or something like that out, and you're already doing -9000, so it's fantastic efficient removal for this deck. After that, we have Reinforced Memory Boost, because this card used to be at 4 in Japan, and every deck would run it at 3 to 4, because it's just amazing. For only 6, you reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. So not only might you get to see what you need, what you were hoping to draw into, you also then get to add something else into security. If you see a Gatekeeper, that's absolute money. If you see a Bubbles, that's also incredible too. But basically, just getting to stack your security and draw is invaluable for this deck. And then you get to delay it later, so between the delay memory, the 3 extra memory, Mother D Reaper's effect to reduce the evolution cost by its sources, you get to get some really explosive turns with this card that could lead to game right there, which is why it was limited to 1. It's just way too good in any deck that can run it. After that, we'll have our tamers that will be our yellow sources to activate our yellow options. We're starting off with 2 TK Kari. This is a combo deck and it is kind of slow, so any fast deck really punishes this deck. Imperial has a great matchup into it because you just beat its face in, hoping not to see Gatekeeper, which is why we are running 2 of TK Kari, because it discourages swinging into your security. Because start of your turn, if you have fewer security cards than your opponent, gain 2 memory. 2 of these out gives you 4 every turn. It's just so annoying. If you have this and a Kari out too, because it guarantees you 3 memory, you go to 5 by default off of your 2 tamers. It's so huge momentum swinging for you. This discourages swinging in the early game, and they have to be really careful and plan when they want to chip away at security. It also has your turn when your yellow Digimon attacks, blah blah blah, may suspend this tamer to get -1000, but we are not running yellow Digimon, so we really don't care about that effect. You could run Starmon because it's on play basically as a mini Masquerade, and it's really good for additional removal. Then you can swing with it and get another -1000 DP off that and potentially remove some good number of bodies. So if you can find room for it, Starmon is not a bad tech at all, but we don't miss that -1000 since we have enough removal. And finally, our last tamer is going to be Kari. She guarantees you 3 memory at the start of your turn, and then your turn, when a card is added to your security stack, you may suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory, which is amazing because this makes Tactical Retreat free, extending your plays even farther. It also synergizes Reinforced Memory Boost, and it just guaranteeing you 3 memory is already good enough on its own, but then doing all that is fantastic. So Yellow Package is basically buying you time, buying you extra removal, so you can get up to your D-Reaper sources and have enough to go into Reaper or to get Gatekeeper's effect live. This is definitely a slower deck in the meta, so it will struggle into stuff like Imperial Digimon, but with our yellow package, we are hoping to even the tables a bit there, because Spiral Masquerade will easily remove their 2 champions that they need to Jogress DNA Digivolve into their ultimate. It's a crazy deck. It's nothing like the game has ever seen before, because it's an accurate representation of the weird otherworldly horror that D-Reaper was in the anime Tamers. I like it a lot. It's really cheap. Everything, literally everything in this deck except Mother D-Reaper herself and TK Kari is an uncommon or lower. So this is an incredibly cheap deck. If you need a good competitive deck that you want to play going forward, this is a great introductory deck for new players because it is so unbelievably cheap. It doesn't have levels, so keep that in mind. You have a very good purple matchup because a lot of their deletion is level based. I think Trump Sword is the only thing they really have. Maybe one other card that can remove stuff in Mother D-Reaper's package, and that's like something they don't even really run anymore. So you have a fantastic matchup into purple. You have a pretty bad matchup into stuff like Imperial Digimon, aggressive OTK strategies in red like Ancient Greymon, because they're just really fast and you have to hope to see all your yellow stuff to be able to buy you enough time. Into Gallantmon, you have an okay-ish matchup because it's also kind of slow and has to build up to its removal that is based around your DP thresholds. Yellow Hybrids is just a huge stallmate. It's going to be an annoying deck, but I think you're more or less pretty even there. And Black X Antibody, stuff like that as well. It's kind of like too fair. Like that deck is pretty much only slightly faster than this, so you have a pretty even matchup into it, I would say as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this profile. Let me know what you think of this deck. There is many ways you can build this. You can even build this with a red base instead of yellow and then have ADP so you're never worried about anything getting rid of your Reaper. There's a lot of ways you could take it. You would just put like Hero or something in there and then ADP to build that. So let me know what you think. If you guys want to pick up singles for this, I do have an affiliate link for TCG Player in the description below that supports the channel by giving me a little kickback when you use it. I hope you guys are enjoying X2. I'll see you next time. Remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.